So what we've been hearing on the SIE exam, definitely going to show up, is what is an oligopoly market. I hope I said it right. An oligopoly market is where there's a very small group of firms that run the entire industry, like airlines, automotive, telecommunications. So it's like an industry with very few big players. Like telecommunications is, for the most part, it's Verizon, AT, T-Mobile, Sprint, right? And they're merging, and that's why it's hard for them to merge because then it becomes a monopoly. So an oligopoly is more than one, but there's still such an overwhelming preponderance of force on these guys that they control the entire market. So they're very interdependent, and it does not breed competition because there's always a chance they're going to price fix and they're going to work with each other. It creates a cartel like they did with the light bulb industry in like the 30s, which is a great story I read. But what happens is you have a very high barrier to entry to enter the market. First of all, oligopoly market, very few competitors, and they run the market. So that's for the exam. But let's talk a little real world. So if we have an oligopoly, I was talking to a person, one of my CFA guys, maybe about 3, 4 years ago. We were talking about some sort of late stage capitalism. I mean, whatever. But his line was that he said companies like Facebook, which is Meta, Google, Amazon, they actually like more regulations because they can afford it, right? They can afford to be compliant where smaller companies can't. So, like, say my tutoring company wanted to grow into like to be the SDCs or Kaplan's or whatever it is. Now, right now I can because there's not a lot of barrier to entry. The books you can make books for free almost. But imagine if they made it very expensive or a lot of regulations on new books and new industries, and you had to go through all these things that cost money. I could not do that. So that's the problem with the oligopoly, that there's no competitors, or if there are, it costs a lot of money to get into it. So it just is a barrier to entry. And all of that, since there's no real competition, they can keep the prices high. Not that they always do, they do, but they can keep the prices high because there's no little competitor coming in and going, hey, I'm going to lower my prices and do it better, cheaper, whatever. It doesn't matter because it's such a small market share they take, they don't care. Or they just take them over, or they do what Rockefeller did, cut their prices so low until the company went out of business and then just jack the prices up again. So the oligopoly is not very good for competition. I mean, one of the barriers is really the economies of scale. Like they have a bunch of factories all over the country and they can make something and don't have to ship it very far, or they have the setup already to just add a new product. Where someone like me, if I started a new product, I'd have to find new warehouses and I'd have to ship it, be really expensive, and it wouldn't work. If you want to pass the SIE exam, check me out on YouTube, Capital Advantage Tutoring, or stay here and subscribe.